Hey guys, what's up? I'm here with TheRealManos.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, incredible, isn't it?
It's so weird.
I know, the creator of Red Knight on my channel. It's astonishing.
Thanks. It's nice to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. It's nice having you here. So, anyway, what we're going to be basically talking about is, like, what writers would be cool on what characters, kind of like a vice versa thing. Like, what if some of the Marvel writers came over to the DC side, and vice versa, basically. So,
right.
Manos,
play God with these companies.
Yeah, because these will never happen.
Yeah, in a lot of cases. Well, at least at this point, there's going to be very few mixings. But if we could just decide on what would we do? Yeah.
So Manos, you're the guest here, so you go first.
Oh, why? Thank you. I've been thinking about this, and there are a number of writers who go back and forth to DC and Marvel, and like JMS did. Peter David does quite effortlessly. Mark Waid.
I think even recently Greg Rucka on Punisher now.
That's right, Greg Rucka as well. And I have noticed one of the things that's a big difference in Marvel and DC, which I don't know, I'm not sure if many people talk about this or not. I think what complicates things about writers going back and forth is I've noticed there's kind of a different philosophy in the way DC and Marvel goes about creating their universes. Because I've always thought for a good long while now that Marvel is a lot more cynical about its worldview than DC is. DC has a more optimistic kind of perspective. Yeah, and you can even in some of DC's darkest, most classic tales, like Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns, there's still glimmers of hope. Meanwhile, Marvel will do something like Marvel Zombies or Ruins, which has no hope. Nothing.
Yeah. No matter what you look at in the Marvel Universe, there is, like, everything's bleak. Like, no matter what future you look at, yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah. And it does have an effect on, I think, the way some of the relationships with some writers work. And some characters, too. So, the instant we started talking about doing this, I was thinking about one of my long-time ideas for this kind of subject was I'd love to see Neil Gaiman write Doctor Strange.
Wow, that sounds cool.
And I gotta say, when Neil Gaiman first went over to Marvel to do 1602, and then he did the Eternals, I severely thought he was going to do Doctor Strange at some point, or Thor. But I always thought he'd be a really good fit for Doctor Strange. And I think in some cases, if you take a DC writer over to Marvel, it has to be with the right character. It can't just be any character.
Yeah.
Which is why I think Mark Waid was a great choice to go over and write Captain America. Because Captain America does have kind of almost a DC spirit to him. At least the regular Marvel Universe version does.
Right.
So I thought that was a really good fit. And now he's writing Daredevil, and you can see he's sort of bringing that kind of more optimistic superhero quality to that character, who has been classically, a very Marvel character. And we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But I always thought Doctor Strange, he's always had a problem really breaking through to the mainstream of the Marvel characters, even though he's always kind of there.
Yeah.
I mean, what's that big, long, classic run that Doctor Strange has had?
None.
It's amazing. He's been, like, a long-going failure.
Yeah. And it's sad, too, because the potential for that character is there. And I feel like he just needs that one writer to make him, like, publicly known.
He's a fantastic writer. He's a fantastic character. And it's just so odd that in 40 years, 50 years, it hasn't happened. And I do sometimes wonder if he's more of a DC horror character. Like, if he was over at DC, he probably would have already had a couple of, maybe long-running books.
Yeah, maybe, what, 30 issues or something?
Yeah, I mean, if he was a DC character, he probably would have had an Alan Moore run during the 80s or something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe Neil Gaiman get his start on something like him.
Yeah.
But since he was a Marvel character, I think that's kind of like... I think he's sort of the odd man out in that universe.
Yeah.
And I think if you were to take a DC writer, I really do think Gaiman would be a good writer for him. I think Scott Snyder would be a terrific writer.
Yeah.
For Doctor Strange. The work he's doing right now at DC is just incredible.
Yeah.
And I think he would be a great fit for that character. I think he would get people who have never even thought of picking up a Doctor Strange book.
Yeah. You see, I've always thought Scott Snyder would be cool on Ghost Rider. He
would be cool on Ghost Rider. And that would be a really nice mix, actually. How about you? What would those would be my choices? Yeah. Either Neil Gaiman or Scott Snyder on Doctor Strange.
Well, I had like the four biggest ones is Greg Pak on Captain Marvel. Greg Pak on Captain Marvel or Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
The next one would be like Jonathan Hickman on either Flash or Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Azzarello on Punisher Max. And Gail Simone on either She-Hulk or Spider-Man.
I'd love to see her tackle She-Hulk. And Spider-Man, wow, that's actually a pretty good choice.
Yeah. Yeah, those are like the biggest ones for me. I mean, I've had several others in my head because I felt like those could really, they could really bring out those characters. Especially, the more I think about it, the more I love the idea of Gail Simone on She-Hulk more so than Spider-Man, because she could just capture that personality of Jennifer Walters perfectly.
And I'd love to see her kind of take the Dan Slott era on, with her trying to make ends meet as a lawyer and as a superhero. I think that was the best run on the She-Hulk series was that run. I thought that was what the character should be like all the time.
Yeah.
Instead of whatever the heck she's doing now.
Which is nothing.
Yeah. But let's see. If I were to take a Marvel writer over to DC, and what would I do with that writer? I guess the first guy that comes into my mind is like Brian Michael Bendis, who's basically been the writer for 10 years of Marvel. And I would probably... Where would I put him? I would probably... I don't know. I could probably see him on Green Arrow, actually. Or actually, no, hold on. The Question.
Oh.
How about a Brian Michael Bendis Question book?
I'd pick that up, but... he's just so diehard into Marvel, but I would like to see him try tackle, someone like The Question. I said he might be good on Batman at one point or another.
Yeah. He almost wrote a Batman Daredevil crossover a few years ago, actually, but it was killed at the last minute. And I don't know what plot he had in mind for that, but it would just be trying to find the right Marvel writer for the right DC character, and I don't think I'd put Bendis on like Wonder Woman or Superman or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think The Question would be a really good character because it's a detective series. He could take his time, and I'm talking about either the Vic Sage Question or the Renee Montoya Question. Either one, I think he would do like an amazing job with.
I think another pick I had in my head was maybe Ed Brubaker on The Spectre.
Ooh, yeah.
He's really good at the crime dramas, and The Spectre. I mean, there was a run back in the '90s where The Spectre was kind of treated like a Law and Order kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think he could really bring that back to it, and also play around with the like godlike powers The Spectre has. Also, another one I had was JMS on Dr. Fate.
That's interesting. He'd pretty much have an open book to work with there.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Fate, I mean, I can't keep heads or tails of Dr. Fate's career.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that happening. I mean, also JMS, I don't know, he constantly needs a blank page to start with. Because I've noticed, like, almost every time he takes over a character, he completely ignores the previous work.
Yeah.
And just wants to start fresh completely with what he wants to do. Which I do find frustrating. I mean, he did that with Wonder Woman.
Yeah. And he kind of did that with Superman, and I can see why people didn't like his Superman run, per se, but a lot of people did enjoy Superman Earth 1, myself included.
Yeah. And, let's see. I definitely think that, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. But, yeah, Earth 1 was a good deal for him, because, he didn't have to worry about anything. If you don't mind me sidestepping to Image for a sec.
That's fine.
I wouldn't mind seeing the writers of Spawn to tackle the Spectre, actually.
You mean like
Will Carlton and John Jeff? I don't know if you're reading Spawn.
I'm kind of waiting for like in a trade. I'm just like that. I don't bother collecting a lot of issues because I'm so far away from a comic book shop. The closest one is like a bookstore, and that's 30 minutes away from me. So.
Yeah, I can see. Oh, that would be a hard trip to make every week.
Yeah.
Oh, but they have been doing a really bang-up job on Spawn, and Spawn does have that supernatural plus crime drama mix.
Yeah.
And if they were to leave Spawn, that'd be a good team.
Yeah.
On that.
Personally, getting on Image as well, maybe Robert Kirkman doing a Spider-Man run would be kind of cool.
Oh yeah. I notice he has. I don't know. I feel like he's had trouble lately working with the big two.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that Robert Kirkman's everything he does has been slowed down. I don't know if it's because of the Walking Dead live-action series, which everything that's been news coming out, like Frank Darabont leaving the show, or
yeah.
Everything has to be stopped just for that show, which is it's understandable. It's an Academy Award winner, or so I've heard. I don't bother with awards. I just love the show. I'm just that type of weird.
But you know what? Kirkman would be good for. He'd be good for any DC horror character, really.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him jump in there.
Yeah.
Geez, with what? Swamp Thing?
I was gonna say Etrigan.
Etrigan would be good. I'd be curious to see him work with I'm trying to think, hold off, there's a couple of DC reboots going on that I'm not sure how they're going to do, because I was thinking about I Vampire, but I haven't even read the first issue yet, so I don't know what to make of that just yet.
See, all I know from him is that he's an old 70s and 80s character, and they haven't even used him in 30 years?
Yeah. I've been thinking about trying to see if I could dig up the old issues. I'd love to see. He appeared in Brave and the Bold, the comic, back in the day, with Batman.
You see, I remember that.
What's that?
I think I remember that issue.
Yeah. I'd love to dig that up, actually, and see if I can find it. Yeah, I mean, DC has a neat little horror. I think DC's horror books are actually more developed than the Marvel books have been over the years.
Yeah. Hang on, I gotta switch over to part 2.
Yeah.